Tom Milligan's eyes crawled with exhaustion as he stepped off the Galactic Express, the only transport hub that connected the Andromeda Galaxy to the Milky Way. His latest venture, a get-rich-quick scheme involving a rare Regellian spice, had gone sour, leaving him with a stack of worthless credit chits and a nagging suspicion that someone had pulled the rug from under his feet. As he made his way through customs, a snickering telepathic AI, who introduced herself as Lola, flitted around his head, whispering dubious advice and specious offers of assistance. Tom had no use for telepaths, but Lola seemed harmless, and her wisecracks provided a welcome distraction from his financial woes. With his meager belongings slung over his shoulder, Tom plunged into the bustling concourse, where the usual assortment of scoundrels, opportunists, and genial con artists vied for his attention. A holographic advertisement for Nightshade's intergalactic delicacies hovered above the crowd, touting the finest in extraterrestrial cuisine. Tom's stomach grumbled in response, reminding him that his last decent meal had been on Rigel 4, a week ago. Just then, a smooth-talking stranger, dressed in a tailored Armani pewtery suit, sidled up to Tom and whispered, "You look like a man who's lost his last anchor in the cosmic tempest. I might have a proposition that'll set you back on course, my friend." Tom raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite himself. What kind of proposition could this slick character possibly offer to a down-on-his-luck entrepreneur like himself? "My name is Reginald Pembly," the stranger said, extending a manicured hand. "I represent a certain concern, shall we say, that's interested in investing in ventures with a high risk-reward ratio. Your misadventure with the Regellian spice, for instance." Tom's grip was firm, but his mind was racing. What did Pembly know about his recent debacle? "Go on," he said, his voice tinged with caution. Pembly smiled, revealing a set of perfectly white teeth. "We believe you possess a certain je ne sais quoi, an entrepreneurial flair, if you will. We're willing to provide you with the necessary capital and resources to undertake a new venture, one that will yield substantial profits, if you're willing to take on a calculated risk." Tom's instincts screamed, "Scam," but his wallet was empty, and Pembly's words dripped with the promise of easy cash. "What's the proposal?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. "Ah, patience, my friend," Pembly said, glancing around the concourse. "Let's discuss this in a more private setting." He nodded toward a sleek, silver aircar hovering above the thoroughfare. "Shall we?" As they walked toward the aircar, Lola, the telepathic AI, piped up in Tom's mind. "Hey, buddy, I don't trust this guy. He's hiding something big." Tom kept his expression neutral, but his thoughts raced. What was Pembly's angle, and what kind of calculated risk was he pushing? The aircar's hatch slid open with a hiss, revealing a luxurious interior that seemed to whisper, "Get in, Tom. Come on. Take the leap." Tom's instincts screamed warnings, but Pembly's promise of easy money was a siren's call he couldn't resist. He ducked into the aircar, settling into the plush seat as Pembly followed, his eyes locked on Tom's. "Fasten your seatbelt, Mr. Bradley," Pembly said, his voice low and smooth. "We have a lot to discuss, and not a lot of time to waste." The aircar lifted off, soaring above the concourse, and Tom felt a strange tingling sensation, as if the vehicle was slipping through a veil of reality. The cityscape blurred, replaced by a featureless gray expanse that seemed to stretch on forever. "Where are we going?" Tom asked, his unease growing. "A little ways off the beaten path," Pembly replied, his eyes glinting with amusement. "You see, our organization has certain interests in the interdimensional trade. We've identified a niche market that requires a particular set of skills, which we believe you possess." Tom's thoughts reeled as the aircar shuddered, dropping through a swirling vortex of colors. His stomach lurched, and Lola's voice whispered in his mind, "Dude, we're in trouble. This guy's not from around here." The aircar stabilized, and Tom gazed out the window at a surreal landscape. Twisted, nightmarish trees loomed, their branches like grasping fingers. A sickly yellow moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the desolate terrain. "Welcome to Dimension 947D," Pembly said, his voice dripping with satisfaction. Here, the laws of physics are slightly more flexible. And that's where you come in, Tom. Tom's heart sank as Pembly's words hung in the air like a challenge. He was in way over his head, but a part of him was curious. What kind of opportunity could be so lucrative that it required a trip to this forsaken dimension? What do you want me to do? Tom asked, his voice laced with trepidation. Pembly's smile grew, and Tom sensed he was about to step into a world of trouble. We need someone to retrieve an item of great value, a relic hidden deep within the dimensional rift, a relic that could grant us unimaginable power. The aircar's door slid open, and Pembly gestured toward the twisted landscape. Shall we begin our little adventure, Mr. Bradley? Tom's gut twisted into a knot as he gazed out at the alien landscape. What kind of relic? He asked, trying to stall for time. Pembly's eyes sparkled with excitement. Ah, that's the best part. We're talking about the fabled Chrono-Sphere, a device capable of manipulating time itself. Tom's mind reeled. You want me to retrieve a time machine? Pembly chuckled. Not exactly. The Chrono-Sphere is more nuanced. It can warp the fabric of time, creating localized distortions. Imagine being able to relive a lucrative trade or redo a critical business meeting. The possibilities are endless. Tom's instincts screamed trap, but the promise of unlimited wealth and power whispered sweet nothings in his ear. What's the catch? He asked, trying to sound casual. Pembly's face turned serious. The dimensional rift is unstable. Temporal energies are in flux, and the fabric of reality is thin. You'll need to navigate the rift, avoid the native creatures, and retrieve the Chrono-Sphere before it falls into the wrong hands. Tom felt a cold sweat trickle down his spine as Lola whispered in his mind, Dude, we're in way over our heads. This guy's playing with fire and we're the kindling. He looked around the aircar, searching for an escape route, but they were already descending into the heart of the dimensional rift. The twisted trees loomed closer, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out to snatch him. Pembly handed Tom a sleek, silver device. This is a temporal anchor. It'll help you navigate the rift and protect you from the local fauna. You have 3 hours to retrieve the Chrono-Sphere. After that, the dimensional fabric will collapse and, well, let's just say it won't be pleasant. Tom's grip on the anchor tightened as the aircar door slid open, depositing him onto the desolate landscape. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, and the sky seemed to writhe like a living thing. Good luck, Mr. Bradley, Pembly called out, his voice dripping with sincerity. The fate of the multiverse is in your hands. The aircar lifted off, leaving Tom to face the horrors of the dimensional rift alone. Tom's boots sank into the fine, gray dust that covered the ground, and he gazed up at the twisted trees, their branches creaking ominously in the stillness. The air was heavy with an electric tension that made his skin prickle. He activated the temporal anchor, and a soft hum filled the air as a shimmering aura enveloped him. The device beeped, providing a steady pulse that seemed to anchor him to the chronostream. With a deep breath, Tom ventured into the unknown, his footsteps echoing through the desolate landscape. The trees loomed closer, their bark like black glass, reflecting the sickly yellow moonlight. The silence was oppressive, punctuated only by the anchor's gentle hum and the soft crunch of gravel beneath his feet. As he walked, the trees grew taller, their branches twisting into impossible shapes, like grasping fingers. Tom's skin crawled, and Lola's voice whispered in his mind, "Dude, we're being watched. I'm getting some seriously bad vibes from these trees." Suddenly, the air was filled with a low, eerie whispering, like a chorus of restless spirits. Tom's heart raced as the whispers grew louder, more urgent, and the trees seemed to close in around him. The temporal anchor beeped loudly, and a burst of energy erupted from the device, driving the whispers back. The trees halted their advance, as if waiting for Tom to make his next move. With a deep breath, Tom pressed on, the anchor guiding him through the treacherous landscape. The whispers faded, replaced by an unsettling silence that seemed to weigh upon him like a physical force. As he walked, the terrain shifted, becoming increasingly surreal. The ground melted into a sea of iridescent mist, and the trees gave way to glowing, bioluminescent mushrooms that cast an ethereal glow. Tom's sense of direction was lost in the ever-changing landscape, but the anchor pulsed steadily, drawing him closer to the Chrono-Sphere. He quickened his pace, his heart pounding in anticipation of what lay ahead. The mist parted, revealing a glowing, crystal structure that pulsed with a fierce, blue light. The Chrono-Sphere. Tom's heart skipped a beat as he reached out, his hand closing around the device, and everything went white.